doing something very, very useful for you to learn how to apply the skills that you have picked up in beat making, in adding instruments, in working with samples. It's something that is fun and is the parts are already there. You can also learn from what other people have done with their piece of music. Here's the piece of music that is actually available from metapop.com. And this is from a remix competition. That's why they provided all the parts. Totally legal, right? So you can hear. So you've actually heard the original song. And if you clicked on the YouTube link, this is an R&B track. You see from the file name, the key was provided. So I know this is in E flat. The tempo is also provided. So I know this is 87. And so I saved you the trouble of dragging the audio files because they provided about 20 plus WAV files separately. I saved you the trouble by dragging them into one Ableton file. That one is actually not rocket science. But what I want to show you next is how to get started when you got one of these remix packages. And the notes are in the usual place, the usual website where we put the notes. And we start with step one. So these are, you're going to learn some standard basic steps to set up a set of stems for remixing that will help you to get this done in a more comfortable way that you can actually have fun with remixing. So I'd like to first ask in the poll, I think Aaron's got a poll for us. You know what the song is like, right? It sounds like this, R&B. So what would you like to remix it as? What's the style that you want to remix it as? And Aaron's going to launch a poll. Yeah, so how would you like this to be remixed? And it can be remixed any style, okay? Just click on what your choice is. Oh, look, it's wow, running, woo, woo. All of these are possible. I'm only going to have time to show you one style this morning, but you can do whatever you want. Thankfully, the style that I'm going to do it in is in the lead, slim lead. Okay, so I think we can end the polling. I think everybody's actually given their views.
21. Oh, okay. Oh,
So the winner is Upbeat Club Remix.
I didn't know co-host cannot vote. Sorry.
Yeah, co-host cannot vote. So let's do it as an Upbeat Club Remix. So share the results. Huh? Yeah, now you can all see the results. Club Remix wins by a very slim margin. Next was chill or lo-fi beats. Then some people want to do a no beats version. Some people want to do experimental. And then there's one person with something else. I'm really interested to know what your idea is. So I'm going to take us through the different steps. The first step you need to do is you need to warp each of these because this original song is in 87 BPM. And by the way, how do I know it's 87 BPM? Because it was given in the remix website. If you want to find the key and BPM of a song which you don't have, I will share resources with you later. But the remix competitions, they'll always tell you the key. And in this case, they told us the key is E flat. And they'll tell you the tempo, which is 87. So what I do is I make sure that my tempo in Ableton Live is set to 87 as well. See, in the top left-hand corner, it's 87. And then I make sure that all my audio stems are starting right from the beginning. I've dragged them all to the start in order to test whether they are actually, in fact, all starting. I have my metronome on, and let me listen. Okay, so it matches. It actually fits the metronome. I'm going to switch off the metronome. Then I'm going to click on each clip, and I'm going to warp. When I double click, you remember every time you double click on a clip, the clip window appears below. Then I'm going to warp. Now, this intro is actually a vocal. I'm going to do it complex. So I've got a whole lot of tracks I want to do here, right? See, the bass one is a instrument. I'll do it with tones. Warp it with tones. Fluffy is the guy who's singing, so I'll warp it with complex. Warp it with complex mode. The different warping style does affect the sound quality of the, the sound when you change the speed. So this one, hats, is actually a beat. So I'm going to warp it with the beats mode. Okay. This one, warp, warp. I could warp the beats with a complex mode as well, but it'll take up too much computer CPU. Okay. Rico is a singer, so it's also complex. Rico, warp, warp. This is not Rihanna. This is Rihanna's pad. So this is an instrument also. So I use tones. Warp. Mallets is also an instrument. So I use tones. Warp. Snare roll is a beat. So I use beats. This is one of the most boring sequences you've seen. It's like watching paint dry. Okay, finally, synth spread. Tones. Last one. Last few. Why am I doing this? Because I want to change the speed. I want to change the speed and I want to change it to 122. Okay. And if I change it to 122, then you'll hear the song is now sped up. Okay. Now let's set locators. I want to set different locations in the file so I know what is where when I start moving this around. I happen to have gone through the whole song, so you don't listen to the whole song. And I know that at bar number 5, I'm going to have a chorus there. Basically, when it goes, oh, nana, oh, nana. At bar 13 is where he has a verse. And at bar number 21 is where he has another verse. So you see what I'm doing? I'm right-clicking here. I'm right-clicking in the top part. And every time I right-click, at 29, there's a chorus. I can actually type in what this section is called. At 37 is another verse, 3. And then finally at 45 is my last chorus. So I have now all the different sections of the song identified. And it's going to be useful for me because I can now copy out sections. How did I know where these things were? Because I listened to the whole thing. I'm not going to subject you to listening to the whole thing. And then the chorus sounds like this. So you hear this part. The next time you hear chorus, he's saying the same thing. The verse is when he goes on his freestyle. Sorry. Am I in the right place? 13, yeah. So I suspect I have, look, I didn't warp this. So it's at the wrong speed. Aha. This was a great example to show. No, let me bring it back down to 87. This is what happens if you do not. I had one track 816 which was not properly warped. That's why it was off timing. Okay. Now that we have set locators, I'm going to make things weird because I'm going to do step 3. I'm going to insert a blank space. I want to give myself room to do my edits. So I'm going to highlight one of these clips and I'm going to go to create insert silence. And boom, everything moves to the right. But all the relative positions of all the locators are there. So I still know where everything is. Then I'm going to go to step 4, which is I'm going to set up. No, it's interesting. So at step 4, we're setting new locators. New locators meaning I decided instead of starting with the chorus, I want to start with a verse. So I'm going to start here, and here's a tip. Always start in increments of 8. So I'm going to start my new verse here. And instead of having 2 verses, I'm going to go straight to the chorus. I'm using short forms. And I'm going to do a chorus twice. Then I'm going to go to a verse. Just to be difficult, okay? Then I'm going to look for where the verse was. Oh, here we go. Every time you press this triangle, it opens up, right? Now Rico's verse. I'm going to take his verse 3 and I'm going to make it verse 1 instead. After all, this is remix, right? Okay, here's Rico's verse. How do I take this section? I highlight it and I right click and I split. Okay, I highlight this section I want, which is his verse 3. I right click and I split. And then now that I've split it, I can copy it and I can go to here, the verse 1, my new verse 1 space, and I can paste. And now I got just his lyric. Okay, fine. And I can also take other parts. Maybe there's a pad here. Is there any other instrument? Oh, look, the pad also was playing at the same time. I highlight this section that I like, right click and split, then I right click and copy, and I move along over to here. And so we got 2 sections. So I have now started building up my own song. I've actually taken his last verse and made it my first verse. This is my step 5. Step 6, I'm going to add elements of my own. And what elements shall I add? Now, in the last few lessons, we've actually learned how to add your own elements. So I got a blank audio track here. Why don't I find for myself a sample from the loops? Under my samples and loops, I'm going to take one of the electronic loops and I'm going to take, let's say, a house. Oh, let me change the tempo here to 122, right? 122. I've got a house beat. I'm going to drag it into my blank audio track. Remember, I'm using samples. Okay, now this is going to be really loud. Remember, I said we'll set the levels always at -12. I didn't do this for the stems because the stems are already -12 already. That's why I can leave them as they are. So let's hear, maybe I'll stretch it out so that it starts at the beginning. And to give it a bit of maybe flavor. Okay, anyway, let's hear it. Just want to check, can everybody hear that actually?
Yeah. Those who join slightly later, please make sure you all click the audio movers link, okay? Yeah. All can hear? Any issue? Right. All good, huh? All right. Okay.
It's strange, I'm not hearing myself now. I've now turned this originally what was a R&B slow song into a upbeat club song. And I could add in other things. I could add in my own instruments. I could add in my own bass. So Now, if you know your music theory, this is going to be very easy for you because you are going to know that in E flat, what you can do with E flat. If you don't have music theory, I will help you along the way. Okay. Don't say never help you. So I'm going to drag in an analog saw into my blank MIDI track. Now remember how we have always been doing the starting a new instrument. We highlight one empty bar, right click, insert MIDI clip. And because it's a bass, we'll always be near the C1 area. Now, because this song is in, also remember to change this from 164 to 116. So because this song is in E flat is also known as D sharp. So I'm going to use a D sharp and I'm going to just insert some notes here. And here is my, generally speaking, it's safe if I use the D sharp, otherwise known as E flat. And I got a loop here, so I'm going to stretch out. And now I have a bass line going. Start from the beginning of the song. So don't feel restricted by the song, right? Because now that you've got this here, I could easily take the beginning part of his vocal and then let me split it, and I can copy it. And then I can paste here. So I've got this strange echo going on, which means I got so you can do all kinds of changes to this. And you can do all kinds of permutations of the song. And if you want to add in more instruments, I've added in the chat how to add in other things in the key of E flat, right? What the notes are that you can use. So you can add in other instrument tracks, you can add in other samples, you can add in other percussion. I suggest that you take this beat and then you also split it, and then you, so that you have some like, let's see, some pattern. You don't even have to use a sample beat. You can use your own beat. And if you wanted to do effects, you could draw audio effects onto this. So basically, you now have the ability to do whatever you like with this song, and you can build up. In this example, I've done it as a more upbeat kind of dance version, but you can do your own different like chill, or you can do your instrumental, whatever it is that you like. So go ahead and try. And we'll convene again at 11:15 to give you all more time this time.